All right, what is going on YouTube? Happy Friday. Hopefully you're having a great day. Welcome back to the channel. Let's get into some MLB. We got a full 15 game slate. I don't know why, but the Brewers and Diamondbacks are just not populating on the sports book, so don't have a lot of insights into that. So we'll probably end up just talking about 14 games. Let's talk a little bit about yesterday. That was a weird day. Weird day. We had the White Sox Guardians. We went back to the over 7. Once again, they score 3 runs in the first inning. I'm like, there's no way they screw us 2 days in a row scoring 3. We had the Guardians with bases loaded, didn't score a run. I'm like, this is going to come back and haunt us. We pushed it 7. So that was frustrating. They scored, I think, 1 run in the last 5 innings for the second straight day. So very, very, very annoying. But at least we pushed this time. So 1 push there. We had Brewers Rockies over 10.5. This looked dead in the sand. Once again, Brewers had bases loaded, no outs, did not score a run, so that was frustrating. Rockies made a late push, and this actually ended up at 9. So if we could have just got some clutch hits here and there, could have gone over, but we did not. Cleveland raced to 4. That was pretty sweat-free. We got that one. Actually, I think they were... White Sox were up 1-0 at one point, so I guess that's as sweaty as it got. They scored 1 in the first. But Cleveland raced to 4 cash for us, and then Philly's first 5, we pushed that one as well. So it was tied at 1-1. Phillies had bases loaded, top of the 5th, and Castellanos struck out. So we needed a clutch hit. Could not get it. That was a pretty wild game that went extra innings last night. Ended in an Ozuna walk-off. I thought Schwarber hit a grand slam. I mean, he couldn't have been much closer to hitting a grand slam. So could have resulted in a Phillies win, but ended up in the Braves win. So we pushed 2 bets. We win 1, we lose 1. So basically break even on the day. Kind of a weird one. But let's get into this slate. I've got 6 best bets and a parlay I really like. So let's start talking about these games. First game on the card is going to be the Royals and the Guardians. We got Bubic going up against Tanner Bibee. It's going to be another cold day. We got the wind blowing in basically around 10 miles an hour. It's going to be 41 degrees. We do have some high humidity, but we also have high pressure. So they kind of neutralize each other out in terms of ball carry and things like that. And we've got the wind blowing in. I don't love this game. I would lean under 7. Probably going to hook at 7, but not a game I want to touch. The Nerfy's not bad, but it's pretty juiced. It's like minus 140, minus 145. Is a really prime Nerfy candidate. I think there's too much value to take the Royals at plus 124. My concern, they just really haven't been hitting righties well, only hitting 212 with a WRC plus of 66. Cleveland's been hitting lefties pretty decent. You know, they're top 15 in pretty much every statistical category. That said, Bubic's just been pitching really well. So I don't necessarily want to fade a guy that's been absolutely dealing. He is throwing, 33% K. So he's had 16 Ks in 12 innings, averaging 1.3 Ks an inning. His swinging strike rate's up there. It's actually one of the highest on the card today. About 15% of his pitches that are in the zone are being swung and missed. First pitch strike percentage scares me a little bit. He's only at 61%. That's fairly low. But he is getting a lot of swing and misses outside the zone. So 31%, that's one of the highest on the card today. I think it's second, let's say 4th highest today. So he's doing pretty good in that regard. But Guardians haven't really been striking out much against lefties, only 19% K rate. So doing really well in that regard. So to me, this is Royals plus money or pass. But with this weather, it's just a fade for me. Next game is going to be Pirates and the Reds. I will be at the Reds game tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that game. Today we got Bailey Falter going up against Brady Singer. Falter not had the best track record in good old GABP. He's 0-2 with an 11.05 ERA at Great American Ballpark. If we look at Singer versus these Pirates, not so great either. He's 1-1 with a 6.75 ERA. His last start was in September of last year. He went 5 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 6 Ks. We're going to have the wind blowing out slightly to right field. So this is going to favor some lefty bats. My only concern, Reds have one lefty projected today going up against a lefty. Got a couple of switch hitters in the lineup, but against Falter, really should just be TJ Friedel in that leadoff spot would be your only lefty. Pittsburgh should be bringing 4 left-handed hitters in there today. So really hard for me to back this Reds team given their struggle against lefties, hitting 141 on the season versus left-handers. That said, they do love them some Bailey Falter. So I think there's pros and cons either way. But if you really want to take advantage of Falter, it's going to be from that left-handed side where he's given up a 455 average. He's also given up a 300 average to righties. We look at Singer, same thing, weaker from the left. Lefties are hitting 261 off of him. Righties hitting 182. Both of these guys are giving up a very high hard hit percentage. Bailey Falter, one of the highest in the majors, 56% hard hit percentage. So a couple of things that lean towards the Reds, a couple of things that lean towards the Pirates. Runners in scoring position. Reds are hitting 206, Pirates are hitting 198. So there's just nothing that really blows me away here and leads me towards either one. My concern here is Bailey Falter is not a K guy. He's actually KM more than he has in recent years. He's averaging 0.9 Ks an inning. But his first pitch strike percentage is god-awful. It is terrible. It's 48.9%. That is the lowest of any starting pitcher today. And he's only getting 24% swings on pitches outside of the zone. So that tells me if the Reds can be, somewhat picky, they should get some base on balls. My problem is that the Reds love to strike out, striking out at about 23.5% against lefties. So it doesn't bode well. If they can hang in there and try to see some more pitches, I do think the Reds win this. But am I willing to pay minus 162? I am not. So this is a fade for me. Maybe look at the over 8, but that's where I'm at with this game. Next one is going to be the Braves and the Rays. We've got Bryce Elder going up against Taj Bradley. Elder 0-0 with a 6.75 ERA going up against Taj Bradley, who's 1-0 with a 4.91 ERA. Taj looked really good in his last outing. Gave me a lot of hope here. Braves are coming off an extra inning game, coming off just a tough series against Philly. So had to get in pretty late down there. Obviously, it's not a far trip going from Atlanta to the Tampa area, but it's still time, effort, and things like that. So fatigue with the players. Love the Rays here. I think Taj Bradley bounces back, has another second strong outing, should be able to get some Ks in this one. So K is another one I'm going to look at later today. Braves striking out 27% of the time. Taj Bradley, 32% K. He's got 14 Ks in 11 innings, striking out an average of 1.27 per inning. Now, my concern with him is kind of similar with Falter. Not throwing a ton of first pitch strikes, only 54.5%. So there is some concern there, but I love the Rays here. Rays first 5, Rays full game. They're just looking pretty good. They're hitting righties well. 276 against righties. This is really a top 5 offense right now against righties. So love this spot for them. We did see the Braves kind of start to open up a little bit offensively, but I just can't get behind Bryce Elder in this spot. He should get absolutely schmacked. So that's where I'm at there. This is a Rays game for me. Next game is going to be the, Blue Jays and the Orioles. All right, so this one, we get Bowden Francis going up against Tomoyuki Sugano. Sugano has been hit early. Been watching all of his starts, and it's early where teams get to him. Going up against Bowden Francis, we've got a pretty decent wind blowing in today. It's going to be between 13, 17 miles an hour from right center. It's going to be fairly cold, 46 degrees, 96% humidity, and pretty mid pressure. But if we look, runs are down 17%, home runs are down 29%. To me, under 8.5 instantly sticks out. It's just kind of the flavor of the week right now. When we get these cold weather games with the wind blowing in, the under is hitting at a ridiculously high clip. So I love the under here. I think Bowden Francis, I just don't see him getting shelled. He's got a 3.18 ERA, so a little bit higher maybe than he had last year, but he should be able to keep this game fairly reasonable. And I think with the wind blowing in, Sugano should find some success too. He is a very predominant fly ball pitcher. 63% of his outs come via the fly ball. Neither of these teams are tearing the cover off the ball versus righties, really. So they're both kind of struggling there. What they are doing well is hitting with runners in scoring position. And then when we go to the back half of the bullpens, they don't look terrible, right? Baltimore definitely has an advantage with the bullpen. I think Baltimore probably wins this, but I think it's a low-scoring game. Just give me the under 8.5 in this game. All right, next game is going to be the Giants and the Yankees. Is going to be Robbie Ray going up against Marcus Stroman. Stroman's not a guy I can get behind here. Weather's going to be pretty crappy. We got the wind blowing in from left center. It's going to be between 9-12 miles an hour. We're going to have some light rain. It's going to be 43 degrees, high humidity, but high pressure. So those kind of neutralize each other. Runs should be down about 11%. Home runs down 21%. We know the Yankees make their living off dingers. So I can't really get behind the Yankees here with Robbie Ray on the bump and Marcus Stroman on the other side. If we look at Robbie Ray, he's only pitched one game at Yankee Stadium. It was only back in 2021. It wasn't great. He gave up 4 earned runs in a 4 1/3. So not great there. But his last couple starts, I thought he's looked pretty good. Seattle, he pitched pretty well, gave up 4 hits and 1 earned run in 6 innings, but he only struck out 2. So this is a team he should be able to K. We've seen Yankees against lefties just get murdered with the K. So they've been unable to avoid the strikeouts, actually striking out second most right now, almost 27% of the time they're striking out versus lefties. That said, they're still hitting them. This is still a top 2 offensive team versus left-handed pitching, hitting 282. Whereas the Giants, they've been struggling. We saw in the Red series there 2 games of 1-0, and then they finally had a little bit of an offensive breakout there to win against Nick Martinez. But they're not hitting very well with runners in scoring position, only hitting 228. Yankees are still getting it done with runners in scoring position, hitting 265. So hard for me to back that. Robbie Ray is predominantly a fastball guy. The Yankees love fastballs from lefties, but with the wind blowing in, it's a fade for me. Like you gotta, it's either Yankees money line or you're taking the under 8 is the only way I really see this. I don't think the Giants are going to torch Stroman. They probably should. He's got a 7.27 ERA. He's not striking out very many people whatsoever, but his pitch mix actually is really good against this team. So Yankees or the under, only real way I can see of playing this game. Next one's going to be the Nats and the Marlins. I don't really know who's pitching for the Marlins. I've seen Cabrera. I've seen Cal Quantrill. Doesn't really matter to me personally. This is a Nats spot. It just feels like we're getting a gift here, getting the Nats on this number at -120 on FanDuel. One of my favorite plays today. The wind's going to be blowing slightly out. It's going to be 79 degrees if they have, if it's an outdoor environment. But either way, it's a Washington game. The only reason I think the line's like this is because the Marlins have been hitting lefties really well. Hitting 260 with a WRC plus of 97. But if we turn around and look at the Nats, we saw what they did in that Dodgers series. Absolutely torched their mid pitchers. Mid back end pitchers just got absolutely rocked. And that's what we're going to see today in this series. So give me the Nats. Absolutely just go to town here. Mitchell Parker's having a good season. He's 2-0 with a .73 ERA. He's pitching extremely well. So there's nothing here that says to fade Washington. He's not striking out a ton of guys. He's only struck out 7 in 12.1 innings. So that's a little concerning, but he's getting a ton of swing and misses on pitches outside of the zone. Nats strike out a bunch versus lefty, or Marlins strike out a decent amount versus lefties. Problem is the Nats strike out a little bit too, but either way, whether they go with Cabrera or Quantrill, it's not big strikeout guys. So this is Nats up. Love this, that we're getting such good value on that one. All right, next play, Red Sox and the White Sox. 2 Sox going at each other. Sean Newcomb, the lefty, going up against Davis Martin, the righty. Davis Martin, not good, man. 5.73 ERA, opponent average of 300. That said, Newcomb hasn't been much better. 5 ERA, giving up a 400 opponent average. Righties have been absolutely killing Newcomb, hitting 423 for Davis. Either side of the plate's really been killing him. The only reason I like Boston here is because Chicago has struggled against lefties. They're hitting sub 200, 58 WRC plus, striking out at a pretty high clip. Really haven't been able to get it done with runners in scoring position. So this is a Boston spot for me. It's going to be a crappy day, 42 degrees, winds blowing slightly in, kind of from like third base to first base, but in a little bit. Very light wind though, 3 to 7 miles an hour. We've got some pretty high humidity, about 73% humidity, but we've also got high pressure. So over under of 8, I don't want to touch it in Chicago. It's Boston, but the value is too high. So kind of a fade for me. Use Boston in some type of parlay if you want. Next game is going to be the Tigers and the Twins. We've got Reese Olson going up against David Festa. Festa hasn't made a start in the majors yet this year, but he pitched really well down the stretch last year. Last game I can remember is him pitching in Citi Field against the Mets and just doing absolute gym. I think his last 4 or 5 starts last season were he was really heating up. I was shocked when he wasn't on this initial starting rotation. But we did have Pablo Lopez go on the IL with a hamstring injury or whatever. Wind today is going to be about 5 miles an hour, slightly blowing out to left field. It's going to be 53 degrees. We do have high pressure, so that's going to limit ball carry. We've pretty much got mid humidity. So that's why we're seeing an over-under of 8, even though the wind's blowing out. I think the whole world's going to be on the Tigers today. If I had to guess, I love the Twins here. I think David Festa is a solid pitcher. That said, the Tigers are hitting really well against righties, hitting 291. I mean, they're pretty much top 5 in every statistical category versus righties except Ks. They're striking out at a pretty high clip. Twins have been sputtering offensively at best. They're kind of one of those, they get started and then they stall. Get started and then they stall. I think Reese Olson's a good one for him to just absolutely bang up here. He's given up a 278 average to lefties, 273 average to righties, hard hit percentage of 53. Everything here screams Twins in my opinion, so I'll be on the Twins today. That is one of my official plays, would be Twins money line today. Get them at minus 108 on FanDuel. Next play on the card today is going to be the Angels and the Astros. We've got Kochanowicz going up against Blanco today. So this is kind of a weird one. Blanco's been getting shelled. He's got a 9.45 ERA. He still has an expected ERA of 6.04 going up against Kochanowicz, who's another guy I don't trust. He's got a 3.27 ERA, but this guy's thrown like 2 pitches all year. He throws a fastball and a slider. The good news is Astros are sucking against both. They're 27th hitting the fastball, dead last hitting the slider. So on paper, it looks really good for Kochanowicz to have a pretty decent day. Angels have been hitting the crap out of the ball lately, hitting 245 right now against righties. Astros sputtering with the offense, hitting 211 against righties. In terms of the bullpen, pretty significant bullpen advantage towards the Astros in this game. Just 2 pitchers that I don't know what we're going to get. So this is a fade for me. Blanco could come out and just throw 6 shutout innings. There's just too many unknown variables here. So this is a spot I'm passing. I think the value is on taking the Angels at plus 124 against an Astros team where the pitcher and the offense have been very inconsistent to start the season. So the value is on taking the Angels. Next game, Phillies and the Cardinals. Obviously, Phillies coming off the extra innings game. Now they got to travel to St. Louis, much further than the Braves, who had to travel to Tampa. But Aaron Nola going up against Andre Pallante. Pretty big pitching disparity. But Nola, not a great year, man. He's 0-2, 6.35 ERA. Not the year. This is kind of how it started last year. And then there was talks of him not making the rotation in the playoffs, and then he just became a freaking animal. But I don't know if we're there yet. Andy's on the road. So Nola on the road, not the place I love him. Andre Pallante, not a guy I love either. 3.86 ERA. Just 2 teams that I don't have a lot of faith in. Pitch splits don't look good for Nola. Cardinals are second hitting the fastball this season. He throws that about 48% of the time. Throws a curveball 24% of the time, where they're kind of middle of the road. And then his changeup, Cardinals are the best hitting team against the changeup. Now, conversely, Phillies are one of the best hitting teams against the fastball, which Palante throws predominantly, about 66% of the time. Neither one of these guys are exactly stellar statistically in the pitching. It's a tough spot here. Home runs are down 27% today. It's going to be 53 degrees. We're going to have the wind blowing in from the left. High pressure day. It's going to favor left-handed hitters. So for that reason, give me the Phillies at minus 130, but not a game I love either which way. Next game on the card, Brewers and the D-backs. I don't have anything on this game. I did research it a little bit. It's a coin toss game. This is an absolute coin flip in my opinion. Give me the Milwaukee Brewers plus the value. I don't trust Eduardo Rodriguez. When it comes down to it, it's just not a guy I can trust, man. So Diamondbacks at home really haven't shown that they've had a significant advantage. They sometimes can score runs, sometimes can't. So this is a fade game for me. Next game on the card, Rangers and the Mariners. Jacob deGrom going up against Bryce Miller. Bryce Miller, kind of a rough start to the season. 0-2, 5.73 ERA. deGrom 0-0 with a 3.38 ERA. Really hard to not want to take deGrom here, at least in like first five. We got an over-under of 6.5. I don't love playing games in Seattle. The offense sucks. It's just, they're not fun games to watch unless you're a defensive guy, and then it's like your Super Bowl every Seattle home game. Bryce Miller is really struggling against righties. 345 average to righties, 214 to lefties. deGrom, not lighting the world on fire, but only giving up a 238 average to righties, 250 to lefties. I think the Rangers have the advantage here, but am I willing to pay minus 130 in Seattle with them against Bryce Miller, who historically has been very good at home? You got two teams really struggling with runners in scoring position, but you got an over-under of 6.5. It's just, there's a lot of games today. This is a fade for me. Rangers first five would be maybe the only thing I'm looking at. The Nerfy is stupid juice to where it's not even playable. So really can't play anything there. Next game on card, we've got the Padres and the Colorado Rockies. Was on the Rockies yesterday. I had the over, but I said I like the Rockies. Came through. Going up against the Padres today, so obviously traveling from Coors to San Diego. Nick Pivetta needs a good bounce-back start. He looked like crap last game. Couldn't throw a strike, man. That's what was frustrating about him. It wasn't that he was getting knocked all over the place. He just couldn't throw a strike. But at home, really liked his last start at home against Cleveland. He looked stellar. So I think he has a bounce-back day. Jermaine Marquez on the hill for Colorado. He's 0-1, but he's got a 2.45 ERA. He's pitched okay in Petco Park, but we look at, you can look at hot pitcher-batter matchups. Technically listed as a cold pitcher matchup. He's got 109 ABs versus this lineup, and they've gotten 39 hits off of him, 7 home runs, 17 extra base hits. So they're hitting 358 off of him. What I don't love is who's hitting well off of him, right? Yuli Gurriel, Jake Cronenworth. Now, I will say, Jake Cronenworth, I've watched that guy. I don't know how he's still on this team, if I'm being honest. I've never seen this guy get a hit, ever. Manny Machado's hitting good, which is great. And Jason Hayward, I don't really care a ton about. So a couple of guys have been hitting well off of him. And then you can see Aaron Nola is actually pitching really well against St. Louis. But yeah, no, can't bank my money on that one. Yeah, this is a Padre spot. But am I willing to pay minus 205? No. What I like is the race to 4. So give me race to 4 for the Pods. We got an over-under of 7. I do like the over. I would lean towards the over. I just don't want to trust the Rockies to score runs. So I think Pivetta should have a pretty decent day. Pitch mix for Marquez just doesn't look good. He throws a fastball a ton. He's a fastball guy 64% of the time. Padres 6th against hitting the fastball. His next pitch is a curveball. They're 18th against that. And then he throws a slider about 13% of the time. Padres are 7th against that. Pavetta's pitch mix, Rockies are bottom 10 in pretty much everything he throws. So really no angle to get behind the Rockies in this spot. To me, it's just Padres run line obviously is the only way you're really going to find value, but I love the race to 4, which is going to be on our card. I think that's a DraftKings only play. So that's what I like in that one. Next game, Mets and the Athletics. We've got Griffin Canning going up against JP Sears. I don't like JP Sears, not a JP Sears fan. That said, this Mets offense frustrating right now. They've got all the talent in the world, but they're just very sporadic on whether or not they're putting it together. And Griffin Canning's just not—he's not a guy I can trust. Still, we're not there yet. We haven't built up that trust. He's got one bad game against the Athletics, and it was the last time he was there in July of last year. He got absolutely rocked. And the A's at home, you just can't overlook them. They're sneaky, and it's a lefty on the mound. So I don't really love the Mets against lefties. That said, they're not hitting terrible, hitting 241, hitting better than the A's against righties. But they haven't been able to get it done with runners in scoring position. Sub 210 hitting. Griffin Canning giving up a 300 average to lefties. All the people that scare me on this A's team are lefties. So, I can't really back the Mets when Cannon's struggling against lefties, and that's where their damage is going to come from. To me, do the Mets win? Probably. Am I willing to put minus 135 on Griffin Canning in them? No. Do I trust that the A's are going to win? No, not at plus 114. I need a little bit more value to where I can get behind the A's in this one. So soft lean Mets. Cubs and the Dodgers, game of the night. We've got Matthew Boyd going up against Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Matthew Boyd, he's pitched 2 games against the Dodgers. His last game at Dodger Stadium was last year, and he threw a gem. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run. We got beautiful day for baseball there. It's going to be 76 degrees, 7-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to kind of right center. 59% humidity, which I don't love, but we've got mid pressure. So we should see normal carry today. Ball should be flying. Home runs should be up. Runs are down a little bit. So we've got an over-under of 7.5. 2 really good teams. I think they kind of beat each other down. Do I trust the minus 205 for this Dodgers team is crazy. You got to go Cubs at plus 170. You're just getting way too much value to take the Cubs. A Cubs team that's been damn hot, by the way. They are 9-6 on the season. Dodgers are 10-4. So there's nothing here that really says, the Cubs have lost 1 game, but they still won that Texas series at home. It's a tough game. It's just a good game to watch, I think, but the value is obviously on the Cubs. I just can't get behind a Dodgers team at minus 205. I'll be curious to see if Freddie Freeman comes back in this one. That would be the wild card to me. But then again, you're talking about lefty on lefty, but that's where Boyd's kind of been weak. He's given up a 400 average to lefties. Yamamoto's given up a 286 average to righties. So everything here, it works in the Cubs' favor, man. Cubs hitting 247 against righties. Dodgers struggling against lefties, hitting 189 with a WRC plus of 80. I think this line's just way too high in the Dodgers' favor. It's Cubs are pass for me. The only thing that scares me about Boyd is his control. Like there's games he'll come out and walk the first 3 hitters or something like that. But when he's on, this should end up being a really good game. So it's Cubs are pass for me. But that is going to do it on the review. Let's talk about best bets. Get you guys on your way. First bet of the day is going to be raised team total over 4.5 at plus money here. I think they should be able to get to Bryce Elder. And obviously the Braves coming off extra innings should be a little weary, a little tired. I think Taj Bradley should have a pretty decent day. So I also like Ray's first 5, just pairing up the starting pitchers. I don't really love once we get to the bullpen. We kind of saw that in the Angels series. They gave up some runs. So just isolating first 5. Next play is going to be Toronto-Baltimore under 8.5. It's going to be crappy weather, wind blowing in, 2 pretty decent pitchers. Give me the under 8.5. Give me the Nats money line, favorite play of the day, going up against the Fish. And then Padres race to 4, just going up against the Rockies. Obviously, Rockies scored a bunch of runs yesterday. Now they're traveling. I just don't love this matchup for them. And then final play is going to be Twins money line versus the Tigers. So we're fading a hot Tigers team. I put my faith in Festa there. Fun parlay that you guys can take is going to be Nats, Padres, Rays, and Red Sox. Put those together, you get plus 657. Now, I will tell you can take the Red Sox out and substitute them with one of the other, like a Mets or something like that. And you can get this a lot higher. You can get it to like 850, 900. If you want to throw a plus money play in there, you can probably get this close to 1,000. So, but it's just a fun parlay. Don't go nuts on the parlays. That's how you end up going broke. So try to keep straight bets, especially in MLB, where it's much more difficult to handicap MLB, in my opinion. So those are the plays, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a fantastic day. Catch you in the next video.